Testing, testing. Let's see, testing, testing. I'm just making sure this is on, team, for anybody for anybody tuning in. Yep, all good. Cool. Hey, if you just tuned in, sorry, I was making sure that it was all set. I didn't make any errors. All right, we're going to get this rocking and rolling. All right, all right. Welcome to the Strong Side Podcast. My name's Mitchel Black, and I'm your host. Today, I'm rolling solo. This might be a little shorter form content here, but we're going to have a good time. Today, we are going to be talking directly to our members. We are going to be rolling in and talking about all the programming updates that we have going on in April and then potentially moving forward. Now, this is a live podcast for today, meaning that anybody who's listening to this live or watching it live, feel free to make a comment. Comment below. Tell me what you're thinking. I'll answer questions at the end as we go through it. If you're listening to this at home, man, well, it's not live if you're listening to it and you're not watching it. But hey, give us a 5-star. Post it on Instagram, Facebook. Give us a heads up. Tell us the content that you like. We got some really good guests coming up, and I would like to, see what works for you and what content you would like to hear moving forward. All right. So, like I said, Strong Side Podcast. My name is Mitchel Black, and today I'm rolling solo. And today we're going to talk about all the programming that we got going on in April. All right. What I'm going to do is try to give you kind of a high level overview of what we're doing, what we're kind of moving towards, feedback that we're getting, and what will work for you. All right. And like I said, comment anything you want below and I'll answer and we'll talk about it. All right. Number one, we make updates to our training programs all the time. I think that's really valuable, and that's what allows us to succeed, is not being stuck in a little box of fitness. I do that with everything. Our name is StrongSide for a couple of different reasons, but one of it is because when I started StrongSide, I didn't want to be Woodstock strength and fitness. Like I don't like things that paralyze you inside a box of not being able to do more. Even the format of what we offer, we don't do anything every day. We don't do anything all the time. We don't row every single day. You get what I'm saying? So having, changes and updates, and those of you guys that have been with us 4, 5, 6 years, man, you've seen it and what we've gone through and stuff, and things just kind of evolve all the time. So we are all about evolution with what we do. And I can honestly say that I think the fitness space is on about a 2 to 3 year max cyclical cycle of when customer interest starts to change. It's usually about 2 years before you see these really big jumps or really big leaps and things pivot. I'll give you an example. In 2000, everybody did step aerobics. And in 2007, nobody did step aerobics. I mean, there was only 7 years, right, to see this massive shift. And I'm not saying nobody does step aerobics anymore. I'm saying it got really, really popular for about 2 or 3 years, and then it changes. And you see the same thing with like a P90X or digital workouts or like whatever, and it just changes. So you need to set yourself up for success by having a program or a business, in my opinion, that can pivot. I got my notes over here to the left that I'm looking at, but I give you that example about step aerobics, but really right now what you see is everybody wants strength and conditioning. Those are the big trendy words right now: strength, conditioning, getting out of breath with a barbell, or lifting, getting stronger and creating wellness and functionality for my life. And I'll also say that when we make these changes or pivots along the way, I often say that I have strong opinions that are loosely held, because I'll believe in something with a whole lot of oomph behind it because I have my reasons to believe behind it, but I am not opposed to a better way. And I am not opposed to hearing somebody talk and going, oh man, that actually might be better. I'll give you another example. The big metal stick. We're going to talk about that today. The big metal stick. I've always said that barbells might not live forever. Hey, we ain't getting rid of any barbells. Don't worry about that. What I'm saying is that you need to have an open mind enough that your people might not like barbells in 10 years. If somebody came out today and said that rowers cause cancer, we could sell the rowers and be perfectly fine. Right? Like I'm trying to explain to you the versatility that we try to operate with, that we're not reliant on one thing. So if people are like, hey, like we've been hearing a lot lately, just people like, barbell, man, it intimidates me. It makes me nervous. I don't like lifting it. It doesn't matter what we feel as coaches and our plan to help you and how excited we are. None of that matters. It doesn't matter, because you might feel a certain way or somebody else might feel a certain way. And I've been really open to that. That big metal stick freaks a lot of people out, and some people just don't want to use it. So are you going to exile them from the gym? Absolutely not. So I'm giving you an idea of, let's see, I'm looking at my notes that I clearly didn't read over enough, but I'm trying to give you a scope here of, we're always trying to ride a line between what you want and what you need. And then we're always offering variety and versatility, and always wanting to evolve with what might be the biggest interest level to get people to get fit. Because look, here's the nuts and bolts of it, right? Not a lot of people like to work out. Fitness is not like the iPhone. It's not like everybody has to have an iPhone. Not many people like to work out. Very few of them like to work out really hard, and even less of them like to work out hard and very often. Okay, so you're dealing with a very small group of people. And with that small group of people, you kind of need to ride the line between what they want and what they need. You don't need to get too sciencey and try to develop some crazy mesocycle of training that's boring, because really fun fitness can be really challenging, and it can get people to come consistently. And like I said, ride the line between what they want and what they need. All right, so I'm going to go over 4 things that starting April 4th. All right, so no matter when you listen to this podcast, April 4th, we're going to really start implementing. And our team is getting trained on it like right now. We have a big training that we're doing on Monday with it, all kinds of cool stuff. And everybody's really excited that I've rolled this out to. And I think it's going to be 4 really, really great things. There might be a couple more, but I'm going to talk about 4 today. And like I said, this is a live podcast, so you are more than welcome to comment anything you want below, and I'll answer all your questions. Number one thing that we're really focusing on is making a more distinct line between the 60 and the 45. So like right now, a lot of people think that the 45 is shorter, so it's easier. And that's not really the intent of that class. Or we might look at the variety of movements that are currently offered in the 45 and how do we expand that? And not only the movements that are offered, what's being asked, like how are you programming things out? What are the time frames? Like all these like sciencey questions that we can do to get more out of it. We want a clear, distinct line where it's like right now we feel that people are like, I don't know. It's like the 45 is like a shorter 60, and yeah, I guess there's no barbell, and it's just easier. No, we don't want that. We don't want that. That's not the intent at all. The line needs to live more in that STRONGSIDE 60 is going to have a warm-up, a strength or skill, and a workout in every single class. And that class is going to allow for things like more teaching, more progression, things that take time to teach, like double unders, rope climbs, snatches, barbell work, squatting cycles, like anything that 15 minutes extra is actually a big deal. And that's like your full like Metcon type experience, right? That STRONGSIDE 60 was built for people that like our target market is the people that kind of get bored at like a F45, a burn, or whatever, like all these things that have like, it's the same thing every single day. But they're never going to go do CrossFit because they think CrossFit is way too dangerous and way too crazy. And they have to be in like super good shape to do that. Right. There's a big market of people that they want out of the same thing every day, but they don't want to go do craziness, right? That's what StrongSide 60 is all about, is how can we offer functional fitness in a boutique atmosphere, offer you some strength training, offer you some guidance in the lifting, offer you some teaching, do the cool toes to bar, get your first pull up, all that kind of stuff. Great. Okay. StrongSide 45. StrongSide 45 is simpler movements at a higher level of intensity and a faster pace. In that class, you won't see anything like advanced gymnastics. You won't see barbell movements. You won't see like strength training cycles. What that class was built for when we first came out with this about 2.5 years ago is we were getting all of these people that were going to other gyms. I kind of referenced them earlier. Like think of all like the big franchises like F45, Burn, 9 rounds or whatever. I'm not picking on them. I'm giving you examples because they're templated, right? So they just send a template out to all the different gyms, and that's how they get like 1,100 gyms to operate. There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe that works amazing for them, and maybe you love it. That's totally fine. I'm just giving you an example. And the members or the potential members would come to us and they were like, hey, I'm like bored because every day is 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off for 45 minutes. And it's, these 5 things. They're like, I want more variety, but I'm never going to lift a barbell. I'm never going to climb a rope. I don't care what you say. I do not want to do it. And that's who StrongSide 45 was built for. So that's why we have the 2 different classes. They're not harder or easier. We describe them as 2 different offerings because you had the 60. The 60 was built for all the people that think, just CrossFit's too crazy, but they want to squat. They want to get out of breath. They want that like full everything at me, throw it at me type experience, right? But they want it offered in a nice streamlined format that, you don't need meningococcal and a staph infection and unedited rap music, right? They wanted it in a nice boutique offering. And then you had 45, and that class is for anybody that doesn't want to touch a barbell, essentially, right? You want some functional fitness, but you don't want strength training cycles. You want to get hot, sweaty. You want just in 45 minutes, you're getting 38 minutes of work, grinding it out, body weight movements, dumbbells, kettlebells, jump rope, bike, boxes, just sling it for 45 minutes. That's why they exist. We want that clear line. So you, new members, current members, whatever, understand the difference of the 2. Not harder or easier, not better or worse. 2 different offerings, 2 different objectives of our vision and our version of functional fitness, which is our 5 pillars of functional fitness: squat, sit up, push up, aerobic capacity, and cognitive ability. You guys all seen that video, but those are our 5 pillars of functional fitness. And those 2 programs can stand behind that and offer what we believe actually preserves the functional capacity of humans for a longer period of time. So you can look and feel the way you want to look and feel for a longer period of time. All right. That's what we're doing. Doesn't mean it can't get better though. So that's what we're after. That's what we're going to talk about today. So let's start with the StrongSide 60. All right. StrongSide 60. What we hear a lot is that people love the 45 and they want to come to a 60. They don't mind the whole hour. They don't mind whatever, but there's a lot of, again, and it's okay. There's a lot of intimidation behind a barbell, or forget intimidation. Maybe they just don't like it. Like, it's like, whatever. I ain't going to lift that metal stick. Like I mentioned earlier. So moving forward, all of the workouts in StrongSide 60 are going to have a dumbbell option. And I'm going to explain this real quick. Number 1, we've always had a dumbbell option. You can always come to your coach. Your coach will always give you adjustments and modifications. Your coach is highly trained, I promise you. But I understand that the member might not feel comfortable. I talk to a lot of people and they're like, look, I don't care what you say. I don't feel comfortable to come up and talk to the coach for whatever reason because I feel insecure and I don't like it. Hey, that's great. How can I make that easier for you? That's really what I'm after, right? We want to make it an easier experience for you. So now what's going to happen is when you get on Wodify, you will see the workout, and then at the bottom, you're going to see some notes and stuff like that, and it's going to list the dumbbell option or exercise that you'll have ahead of time. Like Monday, you haven't seen this yet, but Monday has some power clean and jerks and some squat cleans with a barbell. On Wodify, it's going to tell you what you can use as a dumbbell. And obviously the coach is going to be there to help guide you along the way, but it will give you more security entering the class, knowing that you do not have to touch the barbell. You will already have a plan of what you're going to do with the dumbbells. Maybe you can go ahead and think about the weight you're going to use. Maybe you can go ahead and get your dumbbells, whatever makes you feel comfortable. I can also say that option will only be given in the workout. It's entire, like we can't do it if we tried to give a dumbbell option for the strength training as well. Meaning, let's just make this up. Let's pretend that the strength training was a back squat and the workout was running and deadlifts. I'm just making that up. In the strength training, we're going to slow things down. We're going to be really mechanical, and you can learn how to back squat with that barbell. Whether it's a 15-pound trainer bar, whether it's a 35-pound bar, whether it's 1,000,000 pounds, you can back squat. When we get to the workout, the fast pace, the grinding, the hot and sweaty, I see how that could be really uncomfortable for you. Again, if you don't want to move a big metal stick, right? So you'll have a dumbbell option for that workout, and it will be clearly laid out on Wattify, on the whiteboard. When you come to class, the coach will go over it. And like I said in the beginning, our coaches are always going to give you options, but I want the experience to be easier for you so you can come to class prepared, knowing what you're going to do. Later next week, you have I think it's on Friday next week, you have running and front squats, and there's a dumbbell option where you can do a goblet squat. And we're going to go ahead and list that out for you if you don't want to move that big, crazy barbell. All right. So there's that going on in the STRONGSIDE 60 with the barbell. All right. And yeah, again, I'm just looking over my notes here, but it's still going to be that fast pace, that learning, that whatever, the whole way through. You're going to see a lot more variety in the workouts. All right. So one thing that we're growing into is really taking ownership around everything that we curate and everything that we do. Right now, I'm talking about STRONGSIDE 60 and STRONGSIDE 45. You can kind of bet that in May that those names are going to change because it's too challenging. Like, I'm talking to you. I'm doing a Facebook Live in the members group right now. You are a member of STRONGSIDE. And most of you think that the 45 exists just because it's easier, right? That's not what, shout out to Cole. He just commented and he said, I took the 45 once with Mitchell and nearly met the Lord. Yeah. So it's not easier, but it needs a different name, right? If we had a different name, you could probably understand it a little bit better. So, but you're going to see a lot more variance. We've been doing a lot of, here's what I mean about riding the line between what they want and what they need. As far as members, right? Doing 2 exercises in a row is extremely beneficial to your body. Extremely. But it's 0% effective if nobody likes it. And I'm not saying that we're never going to do couplets or triplets again. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we're trying to put a big focus on broadening our exercises, being intentional about broadening the type of workouts that we offer. Now, the reason for that, the reason that's so tricky and you can't just be like, oh yeah, do this and this and this and this, is because we try to operate everything with a level of integrity. And when you try to give everything to everybody, you give nothing to anyone. And what we don't want to do is just sling in a bunch of really hard, hey, do this, do snatches and running and box jumps and toe to bar and jump rope and stuff like that. That's not going to work for a couple angles. Think about the new person coming in. The new person coming in has no idea what we're doing. They have no idea what's on the board. They don't know what an AMRAP is. And you want them to learn 30 different exercises. That's not going to work. And then as much as we like to think that we're all really fit, we're kind of like weekend warriors. You get what I'm saying? We're not professionals at working out. So there's a good chance that our skill level in each movement isn't, profound. So how about we take down the amount of exercises we do to work on the mechanics of it? So I'm saying, instead of doing a bunch of couplets and triplets, what if there was 3, 4, 5 exercises in a workout? That could be fairly effective. 10 exercises in a workout. That gets a little, funky and stuff like that. But yeah, so we want to broaden what we offer. So as we go into next week, as we go into April 4th, you're going to see a lot of broadening in the workouts. You're going to see a lot of buy-ins and cash outs. I know we're doing that twice, one on Monday, I think one on Tuesday. Tuesday is a 1,500 meter buy-in and a 1,500 meter cash out on the row. How can we, split this thing up? That's what we think about. How can we split this thing up, get a lot of intensity, hit the right space, give you exercises that allow you to keep moving but are fun and challenging? So we are going to broaden that. We're looking at a lot of different time formats. Our big focus is to keep it really fun, right? Yes, a class needs structure. It does. It needs a start time. It needs an end time. It needs, what are you going to do today? I'm going to do a warm-up. I'm going to do a strength or skill. I'm going to do a workout. Let's look at the warm-up. Why do you need a warm-up? Well, because the average person hasn't worked out in 20 years that calls us. The average person sits all day. The average person does no movement. You might be like emotionally warmed up because you had a bad day or you've been running around and doing errands all day. You might feel warm. Bro, you ain't ready to snatch though. You need to do some movement prep and actually get the body warm for 8 to 12 minutes. There does need to be some teaching. That's who StrongSide is. StrongSide is not successful because we replicate workouts. That's not what we do. We don't just go on a PDF and write some things down and then just send it out to everybody and be like, all right, copy this. You can do that. That's what all the franchises do. You can do that. And I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying that's not what we do. What we do is we try to create systems and guardrails for, hey, as long as you kind of stay in this area, you're honestly probably pretty good. All right. And that's what we want to look at. We want to look at our time frames. I'll give you an example. We played with this last week. We did 2 rev workouts. We did a rev workout. We have 4 workout categories, and it helps explain intention of what you're trying to get across. And rev is that sprint, really fast-paced type workout. And we did 2 of them. Wednesday was run 800 meters, 100 shoulder overhead, 50 shoulder overhead, run 800 meters, 50 shoulder overhead. That was eh. I'm not saying it was bad, but it was eh. It was there, it took you 8-9 minutes. And then on the next day, we did another rev workout, but it was 3 rev workouts in a row. It was every 6 minutes you did something, right? So I talked about that piece of integrity. We have to make sure that we're making sessions that we can stand behind that actually produce value to that person. If I only have you for an hour, 3 days a week, is what you're doing valuable? Is what you're doing going to produce more value than when you're not here? And can I stand behind it and say it will make you a functional human for a longer period of time? One workout, 20 different exercises, like 12 days of Christmas. All right, you've all done 12 days of Christmas. That's a fun workout that has no freaking value, okay? At all. There is nothing valuable about the 12 days of Christmas, but it's fun. And to do that once a year, that is totally cool. You just can't build every session like that. But you can get more creative, right? You can get more creative in what you're offering. Hey, 3 6-minute blocks. You're going to rev this, you're going to rev this, you're going to rev that. It still gets the intention across of wanting the athlete to move quickly, but it doesn't block them into I was done in 8 or 9 minutes, right? You do need some structure, and that structure is we try to program it so our warm-up looks like our workout. So as we progress throughout the day, you're training people on movement patterns, because you may have deadlifted before, I get that, but more than likely we're not professional deadlifters. And it would benefit you to, if the workout was biking and deadlifts, to warm up with a little bit of bike, warm up with some empty barbell deadlifts, and then do a drop set of deadlifts. That would kind of help you in the workout. You get what I'm saying? It is very hard to do something like a warm up with no running and then put running in a workout. That is very hard to do. What about doing a deadlift and then the workout is snatches? That is very hard to do, right? There needs to be some structure to it so people understand what's going on. And I'm explaining that to you so you understand kind of how we program at scale. But that's the main difference between 60 and 45. And those are some things that we're moving to. A lot more variety. That is one thing that StrongSide really tries to focus on, is variety. We focus on client boredom. That most people that go to gyms have large burnout rates and they don't come frequently. And I want you to be here. And what we need is more variety in the time frame, more variety in the class offerings, more variety in the exercises that you do in there. And again, not random with good structure, but like I said in the beginning of this deal, it's about every 2 or 3 years, you kind of need a facelift on kind of what you're offering, because it can start to, just, I don't know, people want something different, right? And different time frames and stuff like that. Okay. Number 4, see a lot of comments going on down here in the comment section. Ashley Rueda, it's called the 45 because you need 15 minutes to lay there and recover when it's over. I'm telling you guys, 45 is a gnarly class, man. But I am really excited, all right? Before I move on to number 4, I'll tell you this. So I'm really pumped up about this. Yours truly, Mr. Mitchel Black right here, is making all the programming for all the 60 and the 45 all through April. All right. I've been at all the gyms. I've been getting a whole bunch of feedback. I've been talking to a ton of people because I'm always trying to I can feel it. That's one thing that I can feel, when things need to change or things need to pivot. I don't know, man. And I'm always looking for the answer. When somebody says something, that's not really the problem. You have to find what they're actually saying and what is the message here. And I've been working a lot with Carrie, who's our head of programming and coach development. And she is making it really robust and making it really pretty and getting it out to our team and organizing it all and putting in all the notes and all the cool stuff. And I was like, rather than explaining it, let me just make the workouts. Let me just see if I haven't done this in 3 years, but I was like, let me just make all the workouts and I'll test them and I'll run through them and blah, blah, blah. And so I'm excited for it. I'm taking full ownership. So you know that if it sucks, it's all me. Okay. So, but we got some really good ideas that we've been baking and working on. And I know that a big portion of why you come is the workouts. I don't say all of it because there's a community factor. There's a self-esteem factor. There's, part of it is you don't even want anything to do with the workouts. You just want an outlet for an hour, right? But I do want you to know kind of where we're going with it. And then when we talk to people, how we use the feedback. The feedback very rarely is, hey, do this. And then we go do exactly that. That's usually not what it is. The feedback is usually, let me talk to 30 people. What were the commonalities between what those 30 people said? And then when I find the commonalities, how can I offer that in a way that is who we are? And then can we offer it in a way that's who we are? And then how do we want to do it? You start, I'd be peeling the onion and asking all those questions, but I'm pumped up, man. So sent over all the programming for next week today. We usually run 3 weeks ahead, but I sent it over to Carrie today. She already found a whole bunch of things that we needed to improve on, so I can't wait. But so that's what we got going on, man. Okay, you got any questions? Comment them below. And I'll answer them. I'm going to move on to number 4 here. Question of the day and more funtivities. I love funtivities. All right. So one thing that we've learned is we want everybody to bond a little bit more and get to know each other a little bit more. And as much as our classes need structure and order and stuff like that, you can't leave out that fun factor. And we don't do anything every day. Right? We do not. That is one thing we don't do. We don't do anything every day. We don't do anything all the time. Our classes have a structure, they have a flow, and then we fill in that flow with things that we need to adapt to. But we've been getting a lot of feedback about just hey, can we get a question of the day? And we used to do this a long time ago, and then a lot of people have asked us and stuff. And the question of the day is just a super fun, curated question that you get to go around the class with, and you get to develop an answer, and you get to know everybody a little bit more, and you get to chit chat a little bit. The problem is you need to designate a certain amount of time for that. Otherwise it can just go 20 minutes, and you need to place it at the right spot in the class so it's not boring and stuff. So we've done some stuff with that. We got some really cool workouts, competition stuff, and games that we're going to be doing, but really just bringing a light of fun into the fitness. And I'm really excited with where this is going. So I'm just going to recap it. And again, if you guys have any questions, you can comment them below. I see a whole bunch of jokes about the 45, and that's good. But really, to sum it all up, what I'm saying is that, you need some variety. Every now and then things got to change up a little bit. And that in the fitness space, we tend to see that that's about every 2 or 3 years. I encourage you guys that have been here 6 years, go back and look at how often we've made big shifts in what we're doing. It's usually every 2 or 3 years because, people get excited, and then you got to keep evolving, right? Evolve or die. And yeah. Okay, number one is we're trying to put a very clear, definitive line between the 60 and the 45. Like I said, be prepared in May that those names will probably change into something that's way easier to understand. Very similar to how we used to have the snatch guy on top of the word strong side. And then a whole lot of people are like, yeah, that looks crazy. Can't do that. So we killed him, and because there's way too hard for people to understand. So now it's just strong side, right? Like you got to make those little changes. But putting a clear line between the 60 and 45, that line lives in the 45 is simpler movements, higher level of intensity, and a faster pace, and we're going to own that. We're changing a lot of the structure, man. I am super excited. The 60 is going to have your full experience of everything. Now we are making some adjustments. Like I forgot to mention this earlier, but those long 20-minute strength cycles, those are going to go away. None of your strength training will be over 15 minutes. It'll be usually like 12 to 15 minutes. You'll see a lot of supersets. I say this often, but nobody ever complains about moving too much. People complain about not moving enough. So you need to keep them moving the entire time, right? So you're looking at like 12 to 15 minutes for your strength sets. I know the first quarter of this year, we went through like this long strength cycle, and we were trying that. I don't think we got out of it what we wanted. I'm not saying you didn't get stronger, but you got to ask yourself that fun factor, the repetitive factor. How can you get in there and like jazz it up and make it more fun, open variety? So you're going to see that in the 60. That you will still do strength training, but instead of like 4 barbell focuses in a month, you're going to see like 2 barbell focuses in a month. And we're only going to work on those movements for that month. It won't be long, drawn out 8, 12-week strength cycles. And when we do strength work, whether that's gymnastics work or barbell work or whatever, it'll be about 12 to 15 minutes to give you some time to work on that. All right. So there's that. And then remember, in the 60, starting next week, we're going to have that dumbbell option. That's not an option in the strength training part, but it's an option in the workout. Meaning that in the strength training part, we will teach you how to do a push press or a deadlift or something like that. But in the workout, you will see on Wodify written ahead of time with the dumbbell options for that day. And that's going to make you feel more comfortable when you come to class, right? Number 3, like I said, you're going to see more variety in the workouts, less couplets and triplets, more like just bangers, man. More like full blown, all out, let's just go get it, but in a controlled format where it's done in a way where you're not so sore that you can't come back for 3 days. We don't want anybody feeling defeated or ruined or just like, bloody hands everywhere. Like that's not going to get anybody anywhere. We want steady progression of fitness is what we want. And getting really fancy with our time frames. I'm really pumped up. If it sucks, like I said, come to me. I'm taking full ownership that I'm in charge of making all the workouts for April. I shouldn't say in charge. Carrie is fully overseeing my quality of work. But from what I'm hearing for the 60 and 45 and what we're doing, all right? So I'm going to be on here another minute or so for those of you guys that are watching this live. And if you have any questions, please comment them below and I will answer them. But I just kind of wanted to give you guys an update on what we're doing with the programming. I think that's really, really important. And I want to hear from you. And I think that the more that the programming evolves for you and the workouts are fun, the more experience that we get to have, the more energized you feel to come to the gym, the more rejuvenated that you can get. Because there's pros and cons. I mentioned the template thing earlier. Like if you go to like just any franchise, that's just what they are. Like don't worry about it. But like CrossFit is not a franchise. CrossFit is a license. And you just license the name for $3,500 a year, and then you can do whatever you want inside the gym. Whatever you want, any shirt you want, charge any amount you want, do whatever you want, open wherever you want, close whenever you want. There's no rules. That's why you get a different experience when you go there. And where I was getting at with the templated workouts is like any franchise, I'm just using that as an example, like I mentioned all of them earlier, whatever. They give you a workout, you go implement that workout, like the coaching staff, and then they get to lean more into the experience. And I'm not saying one is better or worse. I hope nobody's taking it that way. I'm trying to explain to you what we do. What we do is every month or so, we are like re-evolving our programming. And some might call that like reinventing the wheel, but it's not, because the member needs that variety to see progression. Routine is the enemy. If you do the same thing all the time, you won't progress. You're going to get bored. You're going to lock yourself in. You need like new workouts, right? And then I'm just explaining to you, like, that's how we approach it, is what variety and time and intensity and loading and stimulus can we give you? We don't have a set, do this on Monday, do this on Tuesday, do this on Wednesday, right? We have like, hey, this is what we're going to focus on in April. This is what we're going to focus on in May, so on and so forth. So there's that. I am fired up of what we're going to be going through in April. And hopefully this works out really well and everybody gets super pumped up about it. I know that our team is really pumped up about it. Been talking to them about it a lot. And yeah, so if nobody has any questions, I'm going to hop off. But if you have questions later, just tag me in it and I'll come back and answer them. And if you're listening to this podcast out there in the universe, please share it with somebody. If you like it, share it with a friend, give it a 5-star, put it somewhere, or just let us know kind of what content you want to hear. But that's what we got going on, man. Super pumped up. This is not an April Fool's joke, even though April 1st is tomorrow, but it's going to be a good time. And we got some really great things coming at you. All right. So let's rock and roll.